everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kasiah and this is SiahSwag and I have a new tutorial for you today. I haven't done a wallet in a hot second and there is a new pattern out from Sewfisticated Designs and a lot of people brought it to my attention and I went and checked it out and it is, guys, it is a fun wallet. It is a great wallet. It reminds me a lot of the Necessary Clutch wallet, if you guys remember that one. It's just a little simpler, which is always a good thing. It comes together really nicely. I think you guys are going to love this. It's labeled as an adventurous beginner. 100% agree. If you are sewing on a domestic machine, I would not use heavier materials. I would keep it light. Keep everything out of your seams. It gets a little thick for that top stitching on the end. So keep that in mind. I've done two here. Love them. There is the option for you to add either grommets or corset D-rings or, you know, a connector for a wristlet strap. You could turn this into a wristlet or a crossbody. Totally up to you. So this was my first one that I did. She has, I think, 4 different design options for this wallet, which can get a little confusing when you're starting and you're looking at this pattern. Don't let that overwhelm you. It's actually very simple. Take it step by step. I just opted for style 3, which is just this little accent piece on the front. I didn't do a slip pocket on the back. That is an option in the pattern. Easy addition if you want to do that. You open it up and you have 2 ID slots, which is nice. A slip pocket there. And then here you have, what do you have? 12 card slots. Who doesn't love a million card slots, right? Another slip pocket and then a zippered pocket here. It holds quite a bit. It does hold a full Big Mama phone like I have. My Big Mama phone fits in this great. It's a good wallet. Okay, and so on this one we do today, this is what we sewed up in the tutorial today, or we will sew up. All vinyl exterior. I just used a magnetic snap, light hardware. I've got my ID slots there, card slots, zipper pocket. What more do you need? What more do you need? Materials. I used vinyl and canvas on this one and ripstop. And then I used vinyl and Smoothie Smooth from Tulip Bee and ripstop. This is a thicker ripstop. I'm going to have to try and research where I got it from. I kind of love it for card slots. It really makes a good card slot. I kind of love it. I need it in every color for card slots now. What else? All I used for interfacing was, obviously I interfaced my snaps. And then I slid a piece of Peltex in between the 2 layers after I sewed them together. I think that's all you need. If you're using vinyl and canvas, you should be good to go with that. Let me know if you guys have any questions or comments. I will try to answer them. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. I'd appreciate it. I want to give a Patreon shout out to Lori Winkleman. She has been a Patreon threadhead for 2 years. Thank you, Lori. That's amazing. We appreciate all your support over there. Go check it out. I will link everything that I used in the video down below in the description. You should be able to find it pretty easy. And guys, let's go make a wallet. Okay, I'm going to go over the pieces that we need right here because then I'm going to do some prep over here before I take this project over to my machine. It's just easier to prep some stuff at my cutting table. So I am doing style 3, which has just the little accent piece right here. So this is your exterior panel, style 3. And then this is your exterior panel, style 2 and 3, it says. So I am doing just that little accent piece. That's really, and I'm not going to do the slip pocket on the back because I just think it's cute without it. But, so I'm opting out of the slip pocket on the back. So I'm just doing style 3 with that accent. Okay, so our pieces, I am using, so that's vinyl. I am using this ripstop. It's kind of a thicker ripstop, and I forget where I got it. If I find the link, I will put it in the description. So it's not as thin as that regular that everybody else has. It's got like a coating on the back. It is fabulous for card slots. Like seriously, so good for card slots. So I have 2 of those, and I'll show you how I'm going to prep those as well. I have my interior panel. So this is going to be my ID pocket. So that's going to be this piece right here. And I will show you how we're going to mark that and prep that. I have my lining piece, lining panel, piece B. Okay, just one of those. And then I will be cutting out a piece of Peltex too to slip inside the wallet when it's all done to give it a shape. I have 2 clear vinyl pieces cut for those ID pockets. I have 1 piece of, my floral is just a mid-weight waterproof canvas, okay? So it's not too thick, it's kind of great. I have a zipper tab. I have my slip pocket lining, piece D1. And I have my zipper pocket, piece E1. And you just need 1 zipper tab. And then I have my side gusset pieces, piece E. You should have 4 of those cut out, okay? I have 4 of those cut out. And we're going to prep those 2 ahead of time. And then last but not least, I have my card slot pocket side panel. I have 2 of those. So that's all of the actual pieces for this wallet. It's not a ton. It's actually a pretty quick cut after you understand what you need to cut and what you don't. I know sometimes when you give lots of different options on one bag, it gets a little confusing. So don't let that overwhelm you. Just take a deep breath and figure out which style you're doing and then go from there. I have some zipper tape. I have an 18mm magnetic snap. And then I have my zipper pull. I'm going to be sewing a cute little patch on the front flap. I thought that was really cute little accent. And then I'll have my nameplate somewhere on this wallet. All right, so let's start our prep work. All right, so we are prepping our card slots here. And all I did was I took my piece and lined it up with my pattern piece here. And I'm just using a regular pen. You could use, you know, an erasable one. But anywhere where there's a line, I'm going to do a little mark. And on each side, I'm just doing a little dash. Oh, wait, not there. Here. Okay, and then I'm going to do that same thing over here on the other side. I'm staying within my seam allowance, so it shouldn't show when we're all done. Okay, so I've got all my markings on there. So this ripstop, I can't really iron it. Maybe I could, I'm not sure. But all we need to do is I like to start at the bottom, and I'm gonna pinch on each side where that line is, and I'm gonna bring it up to the next line here, okay? Right there, and then I just like to slip a little clip right there. And then this one I want right here. Make sure it looks nice and straight. Just like that, okay? And then I'm going to get my next 2 lines here and pinch and bring it up to the next line. So pretty much you're just pinching and bringing up. It's very simple. It's not rocket science, you guys. This is kind of my favorite way to do these card slots. It makes the most sense for me just to pinch and bring it up to the line. Okay, and then one last pinch. You should have 3 folds when you're all done, okay? Here and here. And you bring it up to here. Zoop. And here. Beautiful. Okay, so that's what your card slot should look like after it's folded. I'll do my other one as well. And you can adjust if it's, you know, a little bit off or something. But I will fold my other one up like that too. And then I will top stitch along the top of each fold on both card slots. Okay, so do that twice. Okay, so I have 2 sets of card slots all folded and ready to top stitch. Okay, I'm going to put those aside. And we are going to do our ID pocket panel next. This one confused me just a little bit. And I did it the first time, I did it wrong. So I'm going to try to help you so you don't do it wrong. Okay, so with your pattern piece, there are 2 little markings here that you need to mark onto your piece on the front side. So I'm going to draw those lines. Again, I'm just staying within my seam allowance. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see that though on the color sometimes. Oops. Sometimes that's not ideal. So all right, so I'm just marking those 2 marks here. And that's just for placement of like the folds and stuff when we're all done. Okay, and then I'm going to flip it over. This is the part that confused me. All right, so we're going to take our pattern piece and I cut out the squares. And we are just going to draw those squares. Okay. So the first time I did it, I drew the squares on, and then I thought it said to do a 3/8 seam allowance away from all those, and then cut and fold. I did it totally wrong. So you draw those squares, and then you take this piece and you flip it over. And that gives you your seam allowance for the fold. I'm like, that's so smart. So when I'm done, I'll have 4 boxes that all look the same. Whoops. And I just used a regular pen because all this is going to be folded and cut away. I won't be able to see it. Okay, so when I'm done, I have 4 boxes, right? Can you see that? Yes, you can see that. Okay. Sorry, I'm just making sure I'm looking in the camera. Okay, so after you have those 4 boxes all drawn out, we are going to cut out the middles. So I just like to take a X-Acto knife and cut out the middles. You can take scissors, whatever tool works best for you. Okay, just like that. Cut out the center. Ta-da! All right, I'm going to do that on all 4 of these boxes. All right, all 4 cut out. Looks great. So the next thing we want to do is get a good pair of scissors. And we are cutting from the corner to this corner, like a little diagonal cut, just like that. Okay, that's going to be our fold. So from here, boop, to there. So when you're done, I like to put a piece of tape right here. Well, I don't want to use those scissors for my tape. Okay. And you're folding this back at that line. You're just making now some finished ID boxes. So you're going to do that. Oops, down here. Sorry about that. You're going to do that to all 4 boxes on all the sides. Okay, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of them off. I'll do the other ones off camera. But it should look like that when you're all done. Okay, so I have this all folded back. I gave it a good press and a roll with my little rolly tool, okay? And then I have my 2 clear pieces of vinyl. I'm gonna put those down here on the bottom 2, and my tape kind of goes out right there, so it holds the vinyl in place so I don't have to use more tape. I did it a little long on purpose, so it kind of catches this clear vinyl with it. Okay, once you have that down, then this folds over, and you need to line up your openings evenly. Okay, so they should sandwich that vinyl in the middle, and your opening should be pretty dang perfect. And if they're not, that's okay too. Mine's a little off right there. There we go. Do. Beautiful. Just like that. Okay. So you have your vinyl in the middle and your cutouts. I'll make sure that I may put a little piece of tape under there and situate it so it stays where I want it, even with the other piece. And then we'll take this over to the machine and we will top stitch along this top edge, and then we will top stitch around these 2 ID pockets. I'm gonna skip ahead just a little bit. I want to just go ahead and sew my main exterior panel together and my tags on. So I have my tag placed here. So the wallet is like this, right? So here's my little pieced part, and I want my tag to go on the back right here this time. So I measured how much that was down and centered and placed that there. I'm doing about 7 inches down from the top. I think that should place it kind of lower section. All right. I'm going to go ahead and sew this tag on, and then I'll piece together this and sew on my patch. Okay. I didn't backstitch. I just went forward and pulled my threads through to the back, and I'll tie those off so they're all on the back. It just gives it a really nice clean look on the tag. Okay, so this next part, I want to sew this accent piece on. Now for me, I don't know if this is the way the pattern is. When I sew this on, it's bigger than it needs to be, and I had to trim it down on the last one. I don't know, and I'm pretty sure my pattern printed out correctly. I don't know if that's just how the pattern piece is. So, I don't know. But just know, if you need to trim it down, I did too. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew this piece on at I think it's a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Let me double check that. Yeah, 1/4 inch. I think I'm doing it correctly. I don't know why my piece ends up bigger. So here we go. I think I did it right this time. I don't know what happened last time. No, see, it's just a tiny bit bigger. That's okay. All right, I'm going to flatten that seam and top stitch down each side. Okay, so I was at a holiday fair and this lady had a booth where she did patches on hats and stuff. And I asked her, can I just buy the patches? And she's like, yeah, here you go. So I bought a ton of patches from her. I don't know. I don't really need this backing. So I'm going to take this backing off. And so anyways, I bought a bunch of patches to put on some of my bags. So I'm really excited to do this. This one says a little bougie. And I can't decide if I want it like that or I think I want it just right there off to the side. So I'm going to tape this on with some thick double-sided tape. And then I'm going to slowly sew around this. Looks like all I have is this big, huge roll here. I bought quite a few patches and I'm kind of obsessed. I might take the time and learn how to make patches on my embroidery machine. If anybody knows of any great tutorials on how to make patches, hit me up. Let me know. I feel like I could do it. I just need a guru to show me. Okay. So I'm going to sew on this patch and then my front panel or my front piece will be done. I think I'll have to trim this down just a little bit down here like I did on my last one. Do you see how it goes a little bit longer? Not a huge deal. All right, so I want it in enough that it's not in my seam allowance over here. And I want it down enough that it's on my front flap. So I think about right there is a good placement. Yeah, I think that's a good placement. Okay. A little bougie. Okay, I'm going to sew around that and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, so I have my front main exterior done. Love it. So when it's folded up, it'll be like this. Right, so that'll be the front, and then my tag should be right there on the back in the middle. Okay, I'm going to put that aside. And we are going to do these ID pockets. Okay, so I'm going to sew around these openings, and then I'll top stitch around the top. I don't know which is best to do first, but I'm going to go around the ID parts first. And then just be aware if you did use double-sided tape, you may have to like check your needle and wipe it with an alcohol wipe. You don't want it to get sticky in there, okay? I'll be checking mine as I go. Give it a little wipe. Rather be safe than sorry. so that's my first one all top stitched. I think it looks good. All right, so now I'm gonna do this other side here. Okay. Okay, I'm happy with that. I caught it all. All right, and now I'm going to top stitch along the top here. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. Oops, I just threw a clip. Okay, so now I want to take the top where I top stitched. No, what do I want to do? Right side up, right side up. Yeah, where I top stitched, I'm going to bring it to that marking that we did, which she also gives the measurements for if you can't find your marking. So mine is right there. You can barely see it. Again, if you're unsure, either remark or measure, and then right there. Okay. So that's what I'm looking at now. Right side up. Yep. Now I want to top stitch through the center to separate the two ID slots. So I'm just going to measure where my center is. You can fold it in half. You can use a ruler. And I'm going to do 2 rows of stitching down the center. And then after that, we're going to bring this other edge all the way back up to the top here and fold it and baste it. Okay, so I'm going to do the separation of the 2 first. Do all right, let's see, how wide are we? Okay, right there. There is my, that is my center. Okay. So I'm going to go and do 2 rows of stitching. I'm going to come up to pretty much where my top stitch line is right there, and then I'm going to go 1 stitch over and then come back down. So I went right kind of alongside of that center mark with 2 rows of stitching. So it looks like that when you're done. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, and then I want to take this, pretty much just raw edges together here. She gives you that second little marking that we did. That should be where it folds right here. Okay, but it also just lines up. All right, so now we are going to top stitch and baste. So that's what I have. There's my 2 card slots. This top edge is finished. This is my raw edge here. Okay. I'm going to put that aside and we are going to go to our card slots. Okay, we are going to work on our card slots. I've got both of them here. I'm just going to top stitch all 3 rows on both sides and then we'll separate and baste the sides. I just like to, on card slots that I already have folded and ready to go, I just like to fold back the other pieces and do row by row here without taking the whole of the card slots apart. Just like that, and then I'll move this clip up here and clip that on to where it needs to go. And then flip the next row down. This ripstop is a tiny bit thicker than regular ripstop. Again, I'll try and find the link. So my machine doesn't eat it. It's thick enough that my machine is doing okay with it, which is nice. Okay, and then the last one here. Okay, so I have those all top stitched. I'm going to go ahead and baste my 2 sides down just so nothing shifts as I'm sewing the rest up, okay? So I like to baste going up. If you baste coming down the card slots, they're more likely to shift and move. So go with them this way. For me, I have better success doing it that way. Oh my goodness, so much thread. The sticker is going to have to go. It's peeling. All right. And then I'll go this way. Make sure everything's laying flat. Beautiful. And then I'm going to find my center. I think I'm just going to fold and mark. Beautiful. Okay, and now I'm going to sew a double line, so right next to this middle line. Okay, I'm going to come up and back down. And I just like to go right there, line it up with my top stitching, come across, and then go back down. Okay, so that's one set of card slots when it's all done. I like it, looks good. Okay, now I'm going to do the same exact thing to this second set of cardstocks. Here we go. Okay, so once you have both card slots done, we're going to take them and we are going to sew them together along the bottom here. So we are going to put them right sides together along the bottom edge, and we are going to sew those together at our seam allowance in the pattern. Okay, so the bottom edge. Okay, so now these are my card slots, right? They're sewn together at the bottom. Okay, I am not going to top stitch, like, you're going to want to top stitch that seam down. Just wait, because you do it at a later point. I did it at now because I was impatient when I was making this the first time, and then didn't realize that we top stitch it later in the pattern. So this seam will get top stitched flat, but just a little later. We want to get our slip interior panel slip pocket lining piece. Okay, and you are going to want to sew it to the top of one of these card slots here, right sides together. Okay, this is like the slip pocket behind your card slots. Okay, go ahead and sew that. And this is a bigger seam allowance, so pay attention to that. Okay, and then you're going to want to trim these little corners down again here. Just helps with our bulk, okay? And then I'm going to fold this to the back. And I'm just going to give this seam a nice press and make sure it's where I want it to be here. Okay, so we are going to be basting this to our card slots here. I am not going to go past my seam here because I want to be able to reach in here later and lay this middle seam flat. So I'll probably just baste it to here and to here. Which, yeah, I think is what she does in the pattern as well. All right, so I'm going to... What am I going to do? Top stitch first? No, I'll start with this side first. All right, here we go. So we're basically just securing that slip pocket to the back of these card slots. So your slip pocket should just go over that seam allowance there. Okay, so that's what that should look like. On one side, you have your canvas on the back, and then on this piece, there's nothing on the back yet, okay? All right, now that our card slot is done, we are going to add our side panel pieces, which are these ones right here. We want to align raw edge to raw edge down here and come up, and it's going to be a little bit longer up here at the top, and that's okay. But we want to, with this leftover piece here, you're going to fold it down like this. You're just going to give it a fold. That'll make it so when we're done and fold it out, it'll have a finished edge along the top. Okay. So make sure you're lining it up with the raw edge down here, and your folded piece is up at that slip pocket part. And you will be stitching this slip pocket so it's down, going down. Okay, so right up here, I'm going to give it a fold and line it up with that slip pocket, okay? I didn't understand that on my first one, and I trimmed it off and left it raw edge up there, and it's just got a raw edge in my wallet. I'm trying to figure out where that is. Just right here. You can barely see it, but that's what we're avoiding, is this raw edge right here. Okay, here we go. So we're going to sew that down. Seam allowance in the pattern. Here we go. Okay, beautiful. Other side. Okay, now I know you want to press that out and top stitch, but don't do that yet. We're going to do that when we add it onto our wallet body. So this is your card slots right now. You're going to put that aside. We are going to do our side gusset pieces. So you should have 4. I already prepped and did 2 of them, and then I'll do the other 2 on camera. So this is what they look like when they're all done. Pretty simple. All right, so we're going to take... You're going to do this 4 times. We're going to take this piece. We're going to fold it long ways like this, or short. Is that short ways or long ways? I don't know. Debatable. Maybe fold it long ways with the short edges together. There you go. We are going to sew across the raw short edge and 1 long edge. Okay. Seam allowance in the pattern. And I like to do a little bit of a back stitch right here at this corner. I have found that when I trim my corners down, if I don't have a good back stitch right there, sometimes I'll get a hole. Because you want to trim down the corners on this before you turn it right side out. All right, so there's 1 piece. So here's my opening. Okay, short edge, long edge. I'm going to repeat. Fold, short edges together, and then 1 short edge, 1 long edge. All right, so do that 4 times. Obviously, I'm just doing it 2 since I already prepped two of them off camera. You want to trim down anywhere where there's extra along your corners here. I just make a mess everywhere. Okay. You can even, got a little extra there. Trim it down like that. If I don't backstitch right here at this corner, sometimes my material rips when I turn it through and I get a hole right there. So that's why I was saying I like to backstitch right there at that corner. Okay, and then get something, just get your corners looking nice. And down here, so it's all folded out, right? So now you have 3 finished folded edges and 1 raw edge. I'm going to top stitch along the short ends, so the top and the bottom, okay? Now, if you accidentally top stitch around the whole thing and you're like, crud, you don't have to do it over again. It just means that you're going to stitch again over those same top stitches, if that makes sense. So it's not the end of the world if you accidentally top stitch around this entire piece. Okay. All right, so when you're done, that's what you're looking like. It's top stitched here and here, raw edge here, finished edge here. All right, I'm gonna do that one more time with this piece. Okay. And top stitch. All right, so do that 4 times and you should have 4 gusset pieces when you're all done. Okay, I'm gonna put those aside and we are gonna go to our zipper pocket. So I have my zipper tape, my pull is on, I have my little zipper tab, and I have my zipper pocket piece. This is going to be unlined. Whoops, there goes my lid. This is going to be unlined in your wallet to reduce bulk. I think my machine could handle it being lined, but I would recommend trying it first to make sure. So we're going to do it like the pattern suggests this round. I'm going to do it just a little bit different in that I'm doing my turn, my little 90-degree turn first, and then I'm going to cut my zipper down to the correct size and then add my tab. I like to do it that way. But totally up to you how you want to do this. So I did cut my zipper a little bit longer than it needs to be in the end, so I can trim it down to the exact size. So I'm pinching across that even mark. I like to put a little pin in it along the edge. So there's my even mark. I'm going to pinch, and that folded pinched line goes up to meet the teeth. Just like that. Okay, so now I'm going to baste along my 2 edges there. All right, and then I'm going to trim my zipper down to what it's supposed to be in the pattern. You can also trim it down just a little shorter too. Sometimes your tab adds a little bulk at the end. So totally up to you. I'm gonna go right under. Beautiful. And then I'm going to melt my edges, my zipper tape. Remember, if you cut and don't heat it, it could unravel. All right, so now I want to add my zipper tab here. So the zipper tab, I'm going to fold in half first and get a crease. Okay, so there's my crease, and then I'm going to fold my edges to that center crease. Just like that, and then fold it one more time. Boop. Okay, so fold edges into the center and then fold again, and then we're just going to place it right there onto our zipper. We're just sandwiching it on to our zipper end. Okay, and now I'm going to top stitch that on. This tends to shift on me quite a bit. You could use tape to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. I think we're good. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, I am going to put some tape on. And we are going to put this lining on. I like to do tape. And tape. Here. Okay. And then I want to mark my center. I'm just going to use a pen, an air erase pen this time. You could do the tiniest of notches on your zipper tape. Just be careful not to do too big of a notch because it can unravel if you do a really big cut into your zipper tape, okay? And then I want to do the same on this. I want to put my centers, which this one I'm just going to put a notch in it. Top and bottom of that zipper pocket piece, okay? Beautiful. Okay. So we are going to take our zipper and we want it right side down onto our lining. The right side is going to be the outside. Okay, centered here. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, we're going to sew that on our seam allowance, and then we're going to top stitch it. Okay, here we go. Might help if you unzip to your zipper there. Okay. And you just need to stitch along your zipper. You don't need to go off onto your panel, your zipper lining, okay? Okay, that's what that looks like. And then you want to flip it with your zipper right side up, and it'll fold right here. You'll have a fold. And now we want to top stitch down the entire thing, okay? So my zipper tape is laying flat up this way. Okay. And then you want to do the same thing to this other side. The only difference is with this other side, it's a bit more tricky to top stitch once it's sewn together. So you kind of have to maneuver in that zipper pocket to get it top stitched, and I'll show you. All right, so we're taking this and now we're just going to make like a loop, bringing it right side down to the other side. Right sides together, I mean. Okay, just like that. Now we're going to sew this side. Just along the zipper tape. Okay, so now we need to top stitch on the inside, right? So did I turn this right side out? How did I do this last time? Did I go? Yeah, I think I did. All right, let's turn the right side out. Okay, and then I think I went like that. Okay. A little bit funky. Figure out which way works best for you to top stitch, but we need to top stitch this other side. I wonder if you flip it at that last bit, maybe? Nah. I didn't know if that would be helpful or not. I don't think so. All right. It's not that hard. You just have to maneuver. All the pieces. All right. All top stitched. Looks good. So you just have pretty much a tube. You can go ahead and line up your side raw edges here and baste those together. Okay, awesome. There's my pocket, all done. Next step. Okay, so I have my main lining piece right here, all prepped and ready to go. I have my center marked up here just to make it easier. So we're gonna start lining up with this straight edge, not the curved edge of this piece, okay? So take your card slots, and it has a raw edge and a finished edge where your slip pocket is. We want to match the raw edge to the raw edge of the lining piece here, which is why I marked them. It's just easier to make sure that I'm centered with everything like this, okay? We are going to sew this onto our main lining piece. And what we're going to do is we're going to flip this out, okay? We're flipping these side panel pieces out to hopefully line up, which is why I like to center first, because then if these side panel pieces are off, that's okay. We can trim that down. Okay, like that. Make sure it's nice and flat. Fold it out. For the order of this top stitch, I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to do it. I'm trying to think, how did I do it last time? I think I started down here and stitched. We're stitching along the side panel here, and then I'm going to base the top together, and then I'm going to stitch this other side panel. And then I'll come and secure the raw edges. I think that's how I'm going to do it. So we're sewing on each edge of the side panel and along the top first. Okay. Oh, and I also want to make sure, I want to see if I can get my seam. I think if I were to make this wallet again, I would actually get some double-sided tape and tape this card slot seam flat. Because this is where we sew it flat, next step, and it's just kind of hard to get up in there. Yeah, see? So, if you haven't done that step yet, I would go in and tape this seam flat. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start here up at the slip pocket edge and come down and around. And I'm going to come across here and then go along my raw edges. And then I need to do this raw edge. I should have come on maybe right here. I was just afraid it would shift this middle part. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Play around with it. See if there's a certain direction you like to go. Okay, so now that's all top stitched. Now we want to, ooh, I can reach in this way. I'm going to try and lay this seam flat, and then we are going to sew along this card slot seam on the bottom. Okay, come on now. All right, here we go. So now I'm just going along each side of this bottom seam. And then come back down on the other side. Looking good. Okay, so next I want to put on my gusset pieces. So the placement is from the center seam where your 2 card slots are. It's a 1/2 inch away from that center seam. So I'm going to just line up my ruler like this. And there's my first one. There's my second one. I'm just marking along the edge. There's my ruler. 1/2 inch away from that center seam. And I'm going to clip this raw edge to raw edge. I'm going to make sure they're all kind of the same. So this joined seam, I want down at the bottom here. Okay. So I'm lining it up with that 1/2 inch mark there. And we are going to baste these all on. So I'm just going to clip first like that. And then again, my bottom seam here, I want it bottom to bottom. I want these laying the correct way because this is going to be folding up like that. So I'm just kind of making sure all the seams are the same. Okay, so they're 1 inch apart, basically. Not basically, they are. Okay, same with this other side. Raw edge to raw edge, and I can't see my marking. It already faded. Okay. And that down right there and here. Okay. Okay, those are all on. I'm just going to baste along those edges here and attach those gussets. Awesome. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, next thing we want to do is take our ID slot and we want raw edge to raw edge up here, and we'll be curving these corners just a little bit. So I did not clip my center. I'm just going to make sure I've got it nice and centered. Okay. Because that's how I roll. Beautiful. Okay. Right there. Now, the way this wallet opens, this is your flap, right? And this goes like this. If you wanted to reverse these card slots, these ID slots, so that they're facing, the opening's facing up, you'd have to figure that out. My brain couldn't figure that out. I'm positive there's a way to do it though. Okay, so I have that clipped on. I'm gonna baste it on from this side so I can follow the curve here. All right, because I want to make sure that I've got that going. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm just going to trim this so it's even. Oops, went over the tiniest bit, not a big deal. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at now. Here's my card slots, my slip pocket, all of that. So this comes up like this, and this goes over like that. Woo, she's looking cute. Okay, we are going to add our magnetic snap up here. And then we need to fold this down. All right, here we go. Okay, so I got my magnetic snap. I'm doing my male side, which is this side. All right. I want to do it centered and down. Measurement is in the pattern. And this is on, it's going to be like right here in the middle of your 2 ID slots. Okay, so that is correct. Get my washer there. Zoop, zoop. Okay. So I got to cut through some layers here. Just make sure you're not cutting through any stitching. Okay. I did the markings on that side just because it's easier to see. All right, come on, baby. Didn't go through enough. That was a toughie. All right, I am going to add a little bit of stabilizer behind it. It is going through quite a few layers, but I always err on the side of too much than not enough for snaps and connectors and whatnot, because I've had too many mishaps where they tear out or come undone from a ton of use. So yeah, there's that. She recommends doing the prongs out to reduce bulk. I'm just going to go ahead and do that since she has that in the pattern. I usually like to put my prongs in, but she is right. It does reduce the bulk if you lay them flat and out. So, and that kind of matters on this type of project. So we're going to do that. And then always put something over your prongs, guys. Cover those prongs, okay? Always. Okay, there's that. One last thing you need to do is this edge up here. It's going to be your turn hole. So you need to have it turned down and finished. So she gives you the measurements for a line to draw on the back for your fold line, okay? So go ahead and do that. Ooh, my line's all wonky. That's okay. And then I'm going to put some tape. I'm using 1/4 inch just so it stays. It's not going to budge on me. Okay. And then I'm just going to fold it down to that line. I'll put some clips on it too to kind of keep it in place. Okay. So this is what we should have. This is my full lining piece. I've got my gusset pieces on, my card slops. My top is turned back. I've got my snap on. We are good to move on. Okay, so we already sewed together this main panel earlier. The other thing that we need to do to it is the magnetic snap down here. Placement is in the pattern on the pattern piece. There's two different options of placement, depending on how much you want yours to hold. I did it on the skinnier placement, and I thought it needed to be down a little bit more. So this is on the bigger. It's going to give me a little bit more space in my bag. And then same way you did the lining piece with your line and your fold, you got to do that on the main piece too, because again, this is your turn hole for this bag, or this wallet. And then we'll be sewing it shut along that edge. I am not putting any interfacing on this. I am going to sew it together first, turn it out, and then I will put a piece of Peltex in between the layers. So that part's totally up to you how you want to do it. All right, so we want to put this right sides together, and we are going to just start clipping it all up, and then we will sew. We will sew our layers together. So right sides together. Here we go. And now if your curves don't line up exactly the same, that's okay. I just say choose which one you're going to follow. I'm going to follow probably my exterior piece. So it's not that big of a difference that it's going to be off in any way. So I'm not worried about that. Just try and get it as even as you can. And go slow around your curves, these bottom curves. Just try and get them looking nice and even. And then we'll trim down our curves a little bit before we turn it out as well. Okay, I think that's probably good for the clips. This edge. Okay, just like that. All right, I'm gonna go at my seam allowance all the way. I'm not sewing this folded edge. That's our turn hole. So all the way around. Okay, you don't need to trim down a lot, but trim down these corners here. Gets kind of thick, so Okay. Let's go ahead and turn it out. Obviously, I think if you hit this with a hairdryer as well, it'll turn easier. I probably should have done that. All right, I'm just gonna try and push all of my corners out. I will probably squeeze down some of these thicker seams. She suggests, you know, doing a little mallet if you need to. Yeah, okay. Looking good. Let's kind of put it together real quick and see what we have. Okay, so these will be sewn. We'll top stitch it and that'll be sewn there. And this comes down like this. Oh my gosh, you guys. That's really cute. Hey, I like the tag placement too. It was 7 inches down from the top and centered. Okay, so I'm going to work those seams out really good and flatten them. And we'll clip it. I'll clip it all together with the gussets going in like this. And we're going to top stitch after we put in our Peltex, actually. Let me just slip that in. I'm like, what am I forgetting here? The Peltex. So get your Peltex. And I just slip it on down in all the way as far as I can go down here. Okay, just make sure it's all the way down at the edge there. Beautiful. All right, I'm gonna work those seams out and we're gonna top stitch. Okay, so I have it all kind of clipped into place. I like to do that and kind of just really get my seams pressed out and nice. It looks good. Make sure your gusset pieces are coming in. You're top stitching them with them under it. And then one thing that I did this time that I didn't do last time along this open end is I put a piece of double-sided tape in between the 2 layers. And I taped them into place as well because on my first one, my lining wanted to move farther than my exterior, and I didn't love that. So I taped that into place, and even looking here, it still looks like it's a little bit coming over it. And I don't want that, guys. I don't want that. So we're just gonna, there we go. Okay. Where this frayed piece is coming from. I'm going to top stitch all the way around. My Peltex is in between my 2 layers. And then after we top stitch all the way around, we will add our zipper pocket piece. I have it prepped. I did 1/8 inch tape along the raw edges here. And this gets sandwiched in between this gusset piece, which kind of brings it all together. So let's top stitch all the way around and then add our zipper pocket and then we'll be done. My clip came undone. I'm like, what is going on? A plastic clip that broke? That's unheard of, right? Okay, here we go. I like to top stitch from the vinyl side or the exterior side. I'm trying to think of where I want to start. I think I'm going to start right here. Well, I could start there. No, I'm going to start along the edge, guys. Yep, along the edge. Okay. Here we go. Okie dokie. Looks good. Make sure both sides are looking good. Fold it up into place. Snap. Oh, so cute. All right. Okay, so for this zipper pocket, let's see, I like my zipper closing left to right. She says to mark about an 1/8 inch in to place. I'm just going to lay it just short of this gusset seam. I had an issue of not catching this pocket fully when I sewed this together. So I put tape both sides. Here we go. I feel like the first side is easier probably than the second side. I'm going to line up the bottom there, and it's about an 1/8 inch in along that gusset piece there, okay? And then I'm going to bring this side up, and you're going to sandwich it in between. Okay, I'm going to try and line those up and sandwich. Just like that. Let's use my strong clips, actually. Okay, I'm just going to do one side at a time. So that's what it looks like. Okay, it's sandwiched in between there. I'm going to do this side first. We're going to do 2 different lengths. I'm going to do my 1/4 inch first. I did my 1/8 inch last time, so you got a smaller and a bigger one. I'm going to do my bigger one first because I feel like when I did the 1/8 inch first, it kind of pushed that zipper pocket out of there a little bit. So I'm going to do a 1/4 first to make sure I get it fully in between my 2 gusset pieces. And then I'll do that smaller seam allowance. Okay. I think we're good this time. I think I caught it. Oh yeah, we are good. All right. It didn't slip. Make sure you can't see any. Make sure when you open it up that it didn't slip in here anywhere. And that's fully encased your zipper pocket between those 2 layers. Okay, now I'm going to do that smaller seam allowance. I think that worked a little bit better for me this time. Beautiful. Okay, so once you have that end in, it's gonna go in like that, right, in your wallet. Little accordion style. Okay, so I'm gonna pull it all the way this way, and now I'm going to put it in between these 2 layers, okay? Again, just squish it. Don't be afraid to squish your pieces. I'm about an 1/8 inch away from the edge there. Right there. And now I want to sandwich this piece on top. Okay. Should be good. I'm going to do that 1/4 inch seam allowance first. Come here, threads. Okay. All right, make sure that that zipper pocket is all encased. Yep, we're good. Okay, so I'm going to go at that smaller seam allowance, and then we're done. Hey, hey, hey. Okay. Pull that in and down. Oh my goodness. See how it fits in there? Oh my goodness. It looks so cute. I am very happy with how this came out. Give it a good squish. And we're done. My goodness. All right. Okay, we are all done with this Ellie wallet. I love it. It turned out so cute. I hope this was super helpful for you guys. Let me know what you think. Obviously, there are instructions. You can add little grommets up here. You could do the little corset ring connectors. You could turn this into a wrist strap or a crossbody if you would like to. Totally doable. I just didn't do it in this video. But I hope you guys love this pattern. I think it's a great new wallet pattern. It reminds me a lot of the Necessary Clutch wallet, which was all the rage years and years ago. But this one is so much easier. Like, it comes together pretty nicely. I love it. All right. I will link everything that you need to know down in the description for this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. It helps me out. Let me know if you guys have any comments or questions, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.